So, welcome back to this alternate picking series I'm doing on every conceivable pattern I can think of that will help you be a better player. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and if you haven't watched the previous set of videos, they might be pretty useful before we tackle this one, because some of the stuff in this is going to be pretty advanced. Now, Paul Gilbert patterns are a very, very standard thing to see on the internet. A lot of people will tell you to practice these. A lot of people will be showing these on a million YouTube videos out there, so you probably already know what they are, but in case you don't, if we take, let's say, A Dorian and we play 6 notes on a string, on those top strings, that's 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8 on the B and the E string, I can split that like this. Which is a very standard Paul Gilbert pattern, and what we're doing there is doing 5, 7, 8, 5 on the top string, and then 8, 7, 5, and that on repeat basically allows you to do an outside string change where you're basically practicing this. That particular string change is what you're trying to navigate in that context. And then you can do a couple of other ones, so you can do 2 notes on one string, 2 notes on the next. There's that one, and then there's also the last one, which is 1 note on the last string. There's that one as well, which is 8 on that B string, and then 5, 7, 8, 7, 5. And we just do that on repeat. So they're all the same even number of notes, and they're all pretty useful for practicing. They all have some things in there that are a little bit difficult. So if you practice all 3 of those permutations, you actually do see quite a lot of improvement. They come up a lot as well. If you're transcribing solos, if you're looking at a lot of classic rock stuff, or you're looking at a lot of classic metal, you will see people with some kind of iteration on those 3 ideas in a lot of different solo contexts. The issue with them is that they don't allow you to practice what we've talked about in the previous videos, which is taking a pattern, reversing the pick stroke, and then doing the opposite way round, as opposed to doing it every single repeat being the same thing, and every single repeat being starting on a downstroke and having an outside string change on it. So how do we adjust that? There's a very easy way to do it, and that is to actually start moving these things around, which is again something I've talked about in some of the previous videos, and you should always do with any exercise. Do not, if you're practicing Paul Gilbert patterns anyway, before we get onto this, don't just sit there and do it like this. Do it on different string sets, in the same scale, try and move that around the scale. Try and move it up and down the neck. Try and get all the different permutations of that one idea that you can out of your technical practice, because you can learn so much more than just sitting in one place and trying to work that out. The way we make this a little bit more difficult is to immediately move it on each repetition. So if I take something like this, and then try and move it, all I'm doing there is I'm taking the same pattern, moving it up the scale to 7, 8, 10, 7, and then back down. And what I'm doing there is immediately putting those 2 patterns back to back. So we get this. The reason why I like that idea so much is that we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's no longer even if you shift when you start the next repeat. It becomes a 7-note repeating pattern, not a 6-note repeating pattern. And that means that the pick stroke for that top set reverses. So here we start down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Which means that you're reversing the pick stroke. Again, you're practicing groups of 7 here, which is a really hard polyrhythm to get down. It's practicing your rhythmic ideas and trying to get those even over a metronome, but also you're then practicing both iterations of this, starting on an upstroke and starting on a downstroke. Makes life way easier when you come to something which might require you to start on an upstroke. And this is something I find in a lot of my private lessons. Sometimes I get people who are blazingly fast alternate pickers with outside string changes, but the second they have to start anything on an upstroke, they can't do it. And that becomes a massive problem rhythmically, because a lot of the time they want to start an idea halfway between a beat and they can't do it because they might start on an upstroke. So lots of things like that can rear their head if you're not careful with how you practice these kind of patterns. The same thing would apply to any of those patterns. If I did this, that was the other one, and again, I could do it that way instead, and that's again just moving that up, so we get like 8, 5, 7, 8, 7, 5, 8 on like that, and then moving that up to 10, 7, 8, 10, 8, 7, 10. And again, that reverses the pick stroke because you're turning a 6-note pattern into a 7-note pattern. Really difficult. And again, you don't have to get these things super, super fast. Like, we're not aiming for ridiculous speed here necessarily. We're aiming to try and get more fluidity out of the picking hand. So when you're practicing these, again, very, very simply, the thing you want to be really looking at a lot is, how do I move this hand as relaxed as possible? So when I'm doing this, particularly the string change here, you can kind of see when I'm doing this, I'm trying to make sure I'm not jerking this hand upwards and doing that and trying really hard to do the Troy Grady pick slanting thing. Like the whole pick slanting idea is a more intuitive one. You need to try and find the most relaxed way of making those arcs move, because that will be the fastest way for you to do that. So when you're working on this, you can actually double up. You can double up if you want to on those string changes. So you could go as opposed to, just to make it even more difficult if you want to. And that really helps. Again, you really see, am I super relaxed or am I forcing the issue as soon as I get to the string change? And that's a very common thing to see. A lot of the times I see this in private lessons when I see someone go. So their technique on one string is really good, it's really relaxed, and as soon as they get to the string change, suddenly they're really brute forcing it and trying to force their way through the strings, and that's never going to work particularly well. So make sure your hand is very relaxed on all the motions there. And then the same thing with the next pattern. Again, starting on upstroke this time. I'm trying not to do that, right? And trying to keep that really nice and relaxed. That one's a little bit more difficult. A lot of the time, the inside picking ideas are often the ones of which you will see people struggle more with in terms of keeping the hands relaxed. It requires a little bit more practice. Still doable, but it's a little bit more difficult, and that's why we need to practice these things. So just as another point on this whole sort of Paul Gilbert thing is, a lot of the time, the outside picking stuff is easier for people. So if you're not practicing the inside picking stuff, not only are you neglecting that part of your playing, but you're also neglecting the thing that's probably going to catch you out more than anything, which is always dangerous. So make sure that you're sort of adjusting these exercises like that. Now, you can combine all of these into one monstrous exercise and do something like this, where you get, let me turn the guitar on. So that's doing the first group, second group, third group, all groups of 4, then coming all the way down. So that's just coming down to scale like that. So we get this. And that you can then move and it reverses to pick slant. So we get. If you want something really horrible to practice, that is your gold standard for this kind of stuff. And if you can do that all across the neck and continually move those patterns at pretty high speed in groups of what is I don't even know what that is. That's going to end up being a horrible repetition over the beat. But what you're going to try and do there is, again, get the upstroke starting and the downstroke starting patterns there to feel as comfortable as each other, because again, the pick stroke is reversing on each repeat there if you slide it up like I just did. And that's going to really help you really fine tune all of this stuff. Again, the point here I want to make on Paul Gilbert's exercises is that they're really good, but they are better if you're a little bit more sophisticated with how you move them around and use them in odd groupings. Give all that a go, and I will catch you in the next one.